Hello, this is Tim Law with Planet Forward Coaching. Always encouraging your self-reliance in everything you do. If you develop some people skills, go the extra mile, uh, be a good team player, you'll be amazed what you can accomplish as far as this country is concerned. I had a very, very good dear friend who absolutely knows all about teamwork. And he was a college wrestling teammate of mine at Oswego State back in the day, as they say. And welcome, Ed Pucci, all American, runner up in the Nationals, great friend. So, Ed, tell us a little bit about your background, your story, and we'll roll here, my friend.
You want to start when I first started wrestling, or do you want to go from college on?
Maybe from college on is good.
Okay. Well, we both know I started in 1970. I started with Coach Howard, I was really very much interested in working with because he was known as Mr. Legs. And I was a leg wrestler, and I was pretty good at it, but nowhere near as good as Coach Howard. So I wanted him to become my mentor. And that's why I had the driving force to go up to Oswego. Plus, I think at that time they had like 13 or 14 state championships that they've won, which was incredible for a program that he started. So out of the last like 30 years, something like that, like he won probably over half of the championships, and I wanted to be part of that winning team, and that's why I went to Oswego.
Sure, sure. Well, as I say, you and I got to know each other pretty well, and you obviously had a great career up there. What, Ed? What were some of the main life lessons that you felt that wrestling gave you?
Life lessons. Probably the first thing is drive. In order to win, you had to really work hard and just stay at it until you won. You had to put in extra time all the time, and it was probably more like a year-round sport. I felt like I conditioned on with other sports just to get ready for wrestling all the time. Bike riding, running, stuff like that. But
Yeah, and how did as far as some of those life lessons and skills you learned, Ed, because you've got a very successful business going. You were an industrial arts major, if I recall correctly.
mm-hmm.
And how did you apply some of those lessons to the very successful business you have going now? And please, mention the name of your business and everything.
Okay. Well, my business name is Watermill Masonry now. We've been in business for about 35 years, which is a pretty long time, I would say. I got started in the business in 1975 when I graduated from school. And one of the things that when I started the business, I was working with this guy by the name of Kurt Hell. And we started building houses back in 75, 76. And we built a couple of houses, and we were actually building houses for, believe it or not, a grand whopping sum of $35,000 a house. And we built the house in I would say about a month and a half. And we split the proceeds of that. And we actually made money. But one of the things we found in doing this construction was the drive and the push, and and the want to do something. And wrestling sort of brought me there. We would always put that extra effort in all the time, the extra caring all the time. It wasn't something that just happened 1, 2, 3. You had to really work at it all the time. But that's what wrestling did for me. It just gave me
Sure.
the drive.
Yeah, and who were some of your main mentors? And I was really pleased when I caught up with Jack Spates, which we got you on that conversation after the interview there, and
Right.
I had no idea that you and Jack had come out of some of the same program, and so some of the same, and he was very complimentary about everything you did to help him, because he was a total rank beginner when he started, and he finished pretty strong. As you already know.
I could add something to Jack Spate's story also.
Please do.
Well, when he said when he first got involved, he was really not positive, who got him involved. But we were in social studies class, Mrs. Swanson's class, and he'll remember her. She had blonde hair. He liked her very much. He always sat in the front row, But anyways, he was excuse me 1 second. He was in ninth grade. He was sitting there. He was looking at my letter, and I just placed in the counties I was in ninth grade, which was really pretty good for a ninth grader.
Sure.
And I had a letter with a little pin on it. And he goes, "What do you got a letter for?" And I said, "Well, I'm in a wrestling team." And he goes, "Well, you're so skinny." And I go, "Well, yeah, you try to lose weight, down to a lower weight class." And I said, "By the way, we're looking for a lightweight." And he says, "Jack, would you be interested in coming out to the wrestling team?" So I don't know. There's some other guys are talking about joining the wrestling team too, but I'm not really sure. And I says, "Well, Mr. Edmonds would be very, very interested in having you on the team." And sure enough, Mr. Edmonds got a hold of him, and he was starting to wrestle. But then shortly thereafter, he moved to Smithtown, and he worked under, I guess it's Coach Stock for many years. But that's a story with Jack Spates.
Yeah, well, and you were one of the key guys to get him started. And, for people that don't know his history, he ended up, being a New York State champion. He was
Oh yeah,
college division national champion.
yeah,
I mean,
national champion. Yeah,
coached at Oklahoma, just a phenomenal career that he had for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Who
Right,
were some
right
of
from
the other
get-go.
people besides you said Coach Howard? Who were some of the others, Ed, that you felt were, were real positive role models for you and, in your
Well, when I was
wrestling career?
younger, when I was younger, I actually used to watch Dan Gable. I followed him pretty religiously. He was like my idol, like everybody else, I'm sure.
Sure.
But he's sort of like, he was a driving force that sort of brought me to that point. Coach Edmonds, who was my varsity wrestling coach, my first one at Kings Park, was probably a big influence there with me. Do you remember Bob Edmonds by any chance, Tim?
I've heard the name, Ed. I didn't, I was an upstate New Yorker from Rochester. So,
Yeah, he wrestled for Iowa, I believe, and he was very successful. But he was the biggest influence. Him and Justin Aquaviva, both my coaches.
mhm.
But other people, you, Tim, were one of the persons that helped me just drive along. Pretty much, I stuck with the wrestling program for 4 years. I left for 1 year, but I came back and I stuck with the program. But,
Yeah. Well, we became such great friends. That was a great group of guys, with you, Danny
Danny
Catersano,
Catasano,
Carl Carosa, uh, Ernie
Tony.
Williams, Wayne Hoffman, some of the
Mhm.
others there. And I think we were 50% of my high school team was Italian. So I was already used to dealing with the awesome Italian personalities that I had with you and Catersano and Carosa. So,
Right, good, excellent. We had a
so
lot of pasta too.
what's that now?
We had a lot of pasta for breakfast, if I remember right.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And,
Coach had with his pasta.
yeah, Mimi's diner or Mimi's Gristle House, as Wayne Hoffman used to refer to it as.
Yeah.
So going forward, okay, tell us a little about your business, Ed, because obviously it's pretty physically intensive and everything like that, as far as just the kind of work that you're doing. And then we'll kind of just ask you another question on what advice you'd give to younger people coming up. But first, a little bit more about your work and your business.
Well, first off, it's masonry contracting. I do mainly commercial buildings. That's my main thrust. I do a lot of big end residential out in the Hamptons also, estates and stuff. But I like the commercial more than anything. I like being able to count those big numbers.
Sure.
It's I have right now I'm running 12 guys, and I find that number there is like a magic number in construction. You keep a handle on all the guys all the time, because there's a lot of personality differences all the time.
Sure.
And we work together as a team. I actually run my business like it was a wrestling team. Everybody has their positions that they have to run. They're different jobs, such as masons or laborers or machine drivers. And everybody really works really, really well. And we want to just like practice. All the routines are all the same. It's always different though. It's always different now, different things that happen as you go along. But
well, knowing what kind of
biggest...
teammate you were on the wrestling team, I'm sure that's a perfect position for you, Ed. Ed, going forward, as far as, let's say, younger people are concerned, what advice and ideas would you give them? Because I kind of gear this playing forward coaching to the idea of teens and young adults?
Well, the the thing that I felt that wrestling did for me, and as far as progressing in construction business, was the drive.
Mhm.
You know, we talked about before, like how really you got to get up every single day. And with wrestling, you got up every single day for practice all the time. You couldn't miss practice. If you
Mhm.
did, then you know you were really missing something. So you always have to drive that extra little bit to make it always happen. Um, you
Yeah, so
know, it's
basically that drive and desire to go, to go above and beyond is something that obviously is in the real world
right.
as well as on the mats.
Yeah. When when you're sucking weight and trying to lose weight to make a certain weight class and like that, that's part of the drive. There's a whole discipline that you have to put together all the time. You have dedication that you have to follow through with all the time. You have a dedication to your teammates besides yourself
Hmm.
all the time.
Yeah,
You know, and wrestling is really kind of an individual thing, but really it's a team sport. If you really want to be successful, you know, you got to look at it like that, I feel. Uh, I think that I know one thing, wrestling really made who I am.
hmm,
You know, it really developed the character who I am today. You know,
yeah,
it's was great, it was a great reward being able to do this. I'll do
sure.
it all over again. One thing I would do though, I know one thing, I would let myself go up another couple weight classes.
Yeah, you definitely pulled some serious weight. I pulled some serious weight as well. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
silly thing.
Yeah, it definitely is a sport that separates, well, whether you're talking, let's say MMA or boxing or wrestling or any,
Mhm.
jujitsu or whatever, there's obviously those weight classes, so it does separate, those kinds of sports are very different from, your swimmers, your basketball players or football players or whatever, because of the weight considerations. That definitely,
Right.
yeah.
That's the hardest thing about this sport.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
that's one
yeah.
thing I really couldn't stand.
Well, and it was, and actually, truth be told, you always hear, oh, it was tougher in our day. In a lot of ways, it was because, we didn't have these hydration tests like they do
Right.
now, which has actually been a good thing that they've actually put into wrestling so that you don't have people, pulling and sucking the weight that, we used to be involved with and really didn't think too much about it. It wasn't easy, but I'm really glad the hydration tests are in there for the health and well-being, of the student athletes.
Right. Right. Yeah, our hydration test was you don't drink water.
Very true, Ed, for sure. Well, Ed, this has been wonderful. I super appreciate it. Can you hang on for a minute when we get finished here?
Sure.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That this was some awesome commentary that you had here. Loved it very much. It was great.
Great. Thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir.